welcome to Smaulgld, the decline and fall of the world's first silver empire. What was the world's first silver empire? Rome. The decline and fall of the silver denarius in the Roman Empire. As the Roman Empire grew, the silver content in its silver denarius declined. Currency debasement is a dead giveaway of an empire set to decline. In the second century of the Christian era, the Empire of Rome comprehended the fairest part of the earth and the most civilized portion of mankind. The frontiers of that extensive monarchy were guarded by ancient renown and disciplined valor. The gentle but powerful influence of laws and manners had gradually cemented the union of the provinces. Their peaceful inhabitants enjoyed and abused the advantages of wealth and luxury. The image of a free constitution was preserved with decent reverence. The Roman Senate appeared to possess the sovereign authority and devolved on the emperors all the executive powers of government. That is the introduction to the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. And it sounds like an empire that had it pretty much worked out. It had laws, it had manners, it brought everyone together. The people were peaceful, yet rich, and they abused that wealth and luxury. But there was a constitution, and it was preserved with decent reverence. Well, the Roman Empire lasted for quite some time, but it went from a republic, and it continued its decline after that. But we'll see the history of the republic, the Roman Empire, through its coinage. And we'll take you through some charts showing the silver content of the silver denarius and some maps of the borders of the Roman Empire. Excuse me. The decline and fall of the silver denarius and the Roman Empire. Give unto Caesar that which is silver. The Roman denarius was used as currency throughout the Roman Republic and Empire. Now, this denarius was initially minted of nearly pure silver. In contrast, U.S. coins were issued at about 90% silver. The coins, though, in the early period of the Roman Republic and early empire were 95 to 98%. But as the cost of empire grew, the silver content of the denarius started to shrink. The issue for all empires is how you're going to pay for the conquest and maintenance of empire while keeping your population happy at home. Empires require enormous resources to fund the perpetual welfare warfare state. That's what we have today in the United States, and it was no different in Roman times. For Rome, there were soldiers and fortifications to pay for abroad, military installations, and at home, there were bread and circuses to fund to keep the people happy. And for Rome, the denarius was the currency that paid for it all. Now, the silver denarius was introduced into the Roman Empire, the Roman Republic, around 211 BC, and remained the currency of the Republic and the Empire for over 400 years. Silver was the metal of choice for the Roman Republic and Empire, with gold coinage only used briefly. Silver was the day-to-day currency of the Roman Republic and Roman Empire. By decree of Caesar Augustus in 15 BC, the silver denarius was 95 to 98% silver. As the Roman Empire grew and its costs grew, the amount of silver in the denarius declined. There were costs of conquest, administration, military installations, border defense, walls like Hadrian's Wall, building infrastructure, aqueducts, as well as keeping the cost of the population well fed and amused at home. They built colosseums throughout the empire, the most famous being the Roman Colosseum in Rome, but there are others throughout the Roman Empire, almost as large. They're dotted throughout. Still, you can see the ruins of these colosseum across the southern Mediterranean, where the part where the Roman Empire held sway. Here's a chart now that shows you the silver content of the Roman denarius. You can see at the height of the empire, it was about 98%. As the empire grew and expanded its borders, they had to kind of start to cut the coins, cut the corners, and down to 75%. You can see 50%. At the peak of the size of the empire, the silver denarius was probably only about 50% silver because they couldn't afford to make currency that was 98% silver. And then as the empire kind of shrunk upon itself and there was less money coming in from abroad and the economy was basically collapsing, the Roman Empire was collapsing, they started chopping down, and to the point where in about 298 to 280 290 AD there was very little silver in the coin at all. And you can see the decline coincides with the decline in the amount of silver. But there is a period of time where it looks like everything is going fine, where, they cut back on the amount of silver. And, the height of the Roman Empire is really in this area here, in about the 170s AD. But already they had started to feel the pinch on the expense of keeping that large empire. So you get these little periods. You can only see it historically where it looks like everything is fine in here, and look, they even increased the silver content. But basically, if you draw a straight line, it's a straight line down. They were not ever going to get back up to a 98% silver content in the denarius. Cost of empire. Now these maps, these are my hand-drawn maps, they show the increasing size of the Roman Empire and the decreasing silver content of the denarius. So the Roman Republic, before, if you know your Roman history, before Julius Caesar kind of took over Rome and made it into an empire and became a Caesar as opposed to the republican form of government that they had, the denarius was minted in nearly pure silver. And you can see this is the extent of what Rome was. And this is France, which Julius Caesar conquered in his Gallic, not his conquest, but his expeditions. And that's about the extent of Rome in between 20 BC and 20 AD. But during this period of time, everything's going splendid for Rome. Denarius is 95 to 98% silver. They kind of dominate now the Mediterranean Sea. They don't really have any issues yet anywhere else. And it looks like everything's on the up and up with Julius Caesar becoming the emperor. Now, after Caesar's gone, I think it was 44 AD, they kind of cut back on the denarius. And by AD 70, though, the Roman Empire had kind of expanded more into the Balkans, further out into modern-day Turkey, covered all of northern Africa, took care of the rest of the Iberian Peninsula and Spain, moved into southern England, and moved in some of the Germanic areas in the lower areas of Switzerland and southern Germany, modern southern Germany. Then the Roman Empire continued to grow by 190 AD, but now during this period of time, the Roman silver denarius was between 74 and 89%. You can see they moved all the way up into nearly Scotland. That's where they drew Hadrian's Wall. They took over more parts of the Middle East. They went into Syria, modern-day Syria, Lebanon. They even went around the other side of the Black Sea there. You could see they moved into what is modern-day Romania. So the Roman Empire is pretty large at this point, but you can see the denarius is now shrinking because this is a pretty wide area here. Back then, to get from Rome to Scotland, out to over here or somewhere in Portugal. There's a lot of administration that needs to go on, a lot of road building, a lot of fortifications, especially along here. They had some problems up here with the peoples called the Picts. They're in northern Scotland, and they would attack from time to time. That's why they built a wall there. Here you had Germanic tribes that they had to build fortifications along this area, so that cost a lot of money. And then you had problems with Christianity now breaking out around this time period, revolts in different parts of the empire. So it starts to cost even more money. Now you can see the empire starts to shrink a little bit, 230 to 290. They get pushed back a bit in the Middle East. Um, it's still about the same, but this is a period of time where, as the empire is shrinking, and they're still holding on. They haven't shrunk that much by 285. I mean, the Roman Empire didn't finally just end, at least the western portion, until 476. But by 285, it had basically begun an inexorable collapse. And even though it still looked like, and this map doesn't look much different. In fact, this map here, from about 230, 270, you would think, well, they're doing much better off than they were in 20 AD. No, during this time period, the Roman Empire and its citizens are doing much better than they were when their empire was bigger here. This was a nuisance to have at this point. This was an albatross around their necks trying to defend all of these areas here. Too large of an empire, and they had to debase their currency even further. So by the mid 3rd century, the silver shield around the empire had fallen well below 50%. And the Roman Empire is eventually overrun in 476 when a former, irony here, a former soldier in the Roman army, the Germanic Odoacer, ousted the Roman Emperor Romulus Augustulus. And that was the end of the Roman Empire. It then migrated east to the Byzantine Empire, working on a story there. That empire used gold as its primary coinage. That was the world's first gold empire. Gold is rare, and but they was well recognized throughout the medieval world. The gold that came from Byzantium. Now, what's the second silver empire? Well, it's the United States in the 20th century, the world's first superpower since the Roman Empire emerged. The U.S. was also a silver empire with billions of silver coins circulating amongst its citizens. Think of how rich the Americans were, walking around with silver jangling in their pockets, using it to buy a loaf of bread, newspapers, whatever they wanted. They just dug into their pocket and pulled out dimes and quarters and half dollars and bought what they needed. And the coins were between the initial US coins were 89.24%, and then in the 18, I don't remember the exact date, they became 90%. I don't know why they first were 89.24, but that's what they were. And the US also used to keep a vast strategic stockpile of silver. And they used to have silver certificates circulating where people could turn in their certificates and get silver dollars. But unknown to most people who believe a counter myth, but President John Kennedy worked to eliminate silver certificates and urged the demonetization of silver from 1961 to 1963. And his actions, coupled with Congressional Act in 1963, led towards the demonetization of silver and also the removal of silver from coins. And eventually, by 1965, they continued to mint 1964 dated coins through the middle of 1965. Then they stopped minting them. And by 1968, you could no longer redeem your silver certificates for silver. And by, I think, 1980 or 81, the U.S. got rid of its strategic stockpile of silver. So the United States transformed from a silver empire to basically a 100% fiat empire. Now, the U.S. government sells silver coins to its citizens. I find that to be Very telling in that they used to mint coins for people to use for everyday circulation. And at the peak in 1964, the 1964 coins, the US Mint used 550 million ounces of silver just to mint coins for people to use. And in a record year in 2015, the US Mint sold 47 million ounces of silver in the form of American Silver Eagle coins. Those are silver dollars, those American Silver Eagle coins, but you can't buy them for $1, and your silver certificate won't buy one. You have to pay the market value of silver plus $2 plus whatever your dealer charges for you. So right now, if you want a silver dollar, the type that used to circulate, face value $1, now costs you about $20. Now, why did the US remove silver from its coinage? Next time we talk in our historical series, we're going to talk about the United States, the last silver empire.